read everything Brad Biggs writes in the 10 Thoughts especially.
We love the 10
and
Thoughts.
I saved something from the second week of the season. And I thought, I just wanted to see where it all goes. You save stuff, you never know where it's going to go.
Yep.
So Biggsy had written that 12.2% of teams to start 0-2 have reached the playoffs since 1990. And that's fine. That's a familiar number. Here's something he wrote, which I think, Biggsy, speaks to the miracle that Ben Jesus has pulled off. You had written, this is the 23rd time in franchise history the Bears have started 0-2. Never before have they turned an 0-2 start into a playoff season, and being 0-2 in the division makes matters worse. We've come a long way since then, but we've crossed off a lot of miracles, it seems like, in this Bears season. What has this been like for you in terms of all the years you've covered? What has this felt like for you, Biggsy?
Well, it's been remarkable because there's no shortage of stories to tell, right? And that's what we're in the business of. That's what you guys downtown at the station are in the business of, talking about those stories. And it's just been remarkable. Their ability to close out games in the final 2 minutes, their ability to go on an extended run. You know, they've lost 2 ball games since that 31-point beatdown they took at Ford Field, where they're leaving 0-2, where people are looking at it from the outside and saying, maybe here we go again, and for good reason, right?
Yeah.
Because they had blown it the week before against the Vikings, and then they went to Detroit and got absolutely throttled. So for them to be 11-2 since then is nothing short of remarkable, and be in a position now headed to San Francisco this weekend where they've got a chance to lock up at least the 2 seed in the NFC playoffs, and potentially leapfrog Seattle here with 2 weeks to go for the top seed and a bye in the first round.
Biggsy, we've been talking about the Ben Johnson effect and what a difference a year makes. You're there every day. We can talk about it all we want. What is the difference, or what do you notice being in the building, being out at practice, being around the team from year to year and obviously last year was tough after the Hail Mary, but going from what happened last year with Eberflus to going to this year and where we sit now with Ben Johnson?
Well, I think it started all the way back in the spring with accountability, with him being highly demanding. Like, there was a standard that was going to be set. It was going to be really high, and they weren't going to waver. And, one of those standards, and this isn't a knock on Caleb at all, like it's the opposite of that, but one of those standards that was set was 70% completion percentage, right? And we know he's not going to be anywhere near that, but he's made huge strides this season as a quarterback, as a leader of this team, as a threat. Like, defenses on a week in and week out basis they're really scratching their head. How are we going to go about trying to stop this offense that Caleb's at the controls of? So, that's just an example of the standards it's set, of accountability and consistency, and it's putting something out there in front of the players, and then it's every day preaching that, holding them to that, and so I think that has kind of been at the core of this turnaround.
Brad Biggs, legendary Bears beat writer for the Chicago Tribune, is our guest here on Chicago Sports Radio 670 The Score. Bears-49ers Sunday night football. It has tremendous ramifications for playoffs for the number 1 seed in the NFC. And what the 49ers come in with is a relatively healthy Christian McCaffrey. So Dennis Allen has seemingly played whack-a-mole all year with players he's had available and opponents he's facing. If it came down to it, I don't know if he tries to eliminate Christian McCaffrey or just blitz the snot out of Brock Purdy. How do you think he deals with the McCaffrey-Purdy decision, if there is one to be made? How does his defense look this Sunday?
Well, hopefully it looks better than it did last time out against Green Bay, because the Packers went up and down the field, and you're not going to be able to count on throwing a shutout in the red zone every week, right? And that's why they won that game a week ago against the Packers. You talk about everything that went into it in the final couple minutes and overtime, and all that stuff was fantastic, and all of that stuff was absolutely required. But they've got no shot at doing any of that if the Packers just get one touchdown in the red zone earlier in the game. So you look at McCaffrey, and he's so dangerous in the open field, so dangerous as a wide receiver. You know, he's got 9 rushing touchdowns. He's got 7 receiving touchdowns. So he's a dual threat. You know, you talk about trying to slow him down. It's in which area? You're trying to slow him down running the ball, trying to limit him from getting out and getting chunks on the edges in the passing game. One thing that's going to be really key later on today with the injury report is what's the status of George Kittle? Can George Kittle at least be limited in practice for the 49ers this afternoon with an injury that sent him out of that Monday night game at Indianapolis? He's not practiced yet this week. He's been listed as a DNP, and Kittle's kind of the guy that makes that offense go right now when you talk about his ability as a receiver, and then everything he does in that running game as the tight end. So if there's no George Kittle, that's a serious blow for a 49ers team that, quite frankly, lacks a lot of dangerous targets on the outside. They don't have the world's greatest wide receivers. So I'd be paying attention to Kittle's status, and would not surprise me at all if he's declared one way or another as sort of some type of game time decision for Sunday night.
You're listening to a Four Seasons Heating, Air Conditioning, Plumbing, and Electric Football Friday, presented by your local Ford dealers and Potawatomi Casino Hotel. Bigsy, I was thinking about that too, because if you look at that offense, it almost reminds me of the old Brady Pats teams. It's a tight end. It's Kittle instead of Gronk. You're dumping it off to McCaffrey a lot. The receivers are not household names. I think Jawan Jennings is probably the best they have. The days of it being Ayuk and Debo are gone, and now it's literally tight end running back as your 1-2 options. And yet, I don't think they've punted in like 3 weeks, so it's working for them.
Oh, no, they've been red hot. Now, here's what you got to figure out, though. You got to look at it and you say, okay, the 49ers are coming in, having won 5 straight games, 3 of them on the road. But you take a look at who they beat, and it was, they crushed Arizona. They beat the Panthers by 11. The Panthers are the only team in the stretch that's currently above 500. They throttled the Browns, beat up on the Titans, and then they just outraced the Colts on Monday night, 48-27, defense optional. So super hot. You question who they've beaten. Like, there's some questions to this 49ers team that people have been asking about the Bears. Well, what about the schedule? So this is an interesting game for both those teams. The one thing that's different for the 49ers and rolling through some of these teams to put up an 11-4 record is they've kicked ass here of late. Like, their average margin of victory in this 5-game stretch is north of 16 points a game. The Bears have won 2 games this season by more than 16 points. Dallas back in week 3, and then when they took their turn beating up on the Cleveland Browns. So it's a difficult game to call. The 49ers are really short on defense. They've been dealing with huge injuries all season. Their 2 best players have been out for a long time. That's Fred Warner, the linebacker, and Nick Bosa, the edge rusher, and so Robert Saleh's been trying to piece it together, and now he's got a heightened challenge, I think, with Caleb Williams and what he's been able to do lately in that Bears running game.
Well, the running game would be the way to minimize the worry about McCaffrey and Purdy. Run the ball, do to the 49ers what you did to the Eagles, and it should be easier because their 49ers seemingly don't represent that kind of defensive line. Is that something you expect the Bears to get back to and determine to get back to that and stay with it? Sometimes it seems like Ben has thought on, I don't know, there's a penalty and it's 3rd and long and you're going to do this instead of running, you're going to pass instead of running the ball. How committed to the running game do you expect him to be, if only to keep Christian McCaffrey and Brock Purdy off the field?
Oh, they'll be committed to the running game. And I thought they did a decent job running the ball against the Packers last time out. When you look at the numbers at the end of the game, San Francisco's got a decent run defense, and I say decent. It's probably better than that when you consider all the parts that are missing. Like again, Saleh's done a pretty nice job there. They're only giving up about 103 yards a game on the ground, but I'd expect the Bears to really try to get after him because it's really at the core of everything they're doing here offensively. So much of their passing game, I think you look at the kind of sequencing of plays and what Ben likes to do. A lot of that's really set up through the ground attack, and you'd expect them to try to get that going early. And if the Bears can have some success running the ball on early downs, it could be a long, long night for the 49ers.
Big Z, we've talked about it throughout the show, about both teams having the opportunity for the 1 seed, both teams still playing with their playoff destinies in their own hands. And really, when you look at the NFC, I mean, the seeding is fascinating. The matchups are going to be so critical. Of course, you want the bye as the 1 seed. Of course, you want to win the division and get a home game. But, I mean, you look right now, 5, 6, 7 is San Francisco, the Rams, and the Packers, and any of those teams would be an extremely tough matchup in round 1. So, I mean, this NFC playoffs is going to be wide open, I think.
Oh, it's absolutely wide open. Like when you look at the NFC right now, and you say, "Boy, who's the team you don't want to run into?" I think everybody's got a flaw. The Rams might be the closest to a team without one, but you start studying them a little bit, and when you look at their linebackers and their secondary, it's a bunch of cast-offs and rejects from other teams. It's late-round picks. It's undrafted free agents. It's kind of how it's set up there. Now they've got a fantastic front four. They've got a defensive line that can really get after it, and if they're able to win with those guys in the trenches, it makes the stuff in the back seven look a lot cleaner for them. But they've got flaws too, and until they get Devontae Adams back from a hamstring injury, I think they're a little shorthanded on offense and not quite as good as they could be. But it's wide open. Like some of these household playoff teams are not in the mix anymore. One team to not rule out here, and I'm curious to see how they play over the final 2 weeks. Like, are they starting to ramp things up? Is the chatter that seemingly constantly surrounds this team starting to die down? Are they in position to maybe go on a run? And that's the Eagles. That's a team that's done it before. And that's a tough out, I think, in the postseason because of the roster, because of the experience that the coaching staff and the players have in the postseason. The Bears would probably feel pretty good about a rematch with the Eagles, but boy, I wouldn't bet on being able to run for 280 on a Vic Fangio defense twice in 1 year.
Nope. Brad Biggs is our guest, Tribune football writing legend. We're talking Bears football here. The thing about the Rams that scares me is, of all the teams they might face, that Rams offensive line, if healthy, against whatever the Bears defensive line is. I just see that as being a major issue in the Bears accomplishing anything. In that kind of matchup, how do you see that coming down?
Well, the Bears are fortunate that's a matchup that doesn't come down to the NFC title game. I think you'd want to wait and, as long as you could to go against Matthew Stafford and Sean McVay. But yeah, if the Rams are still healthy up front, they can. McVay really does such a nice job designing some of that run game stuff. He'll stick with it too, and then there's Stafford, who you can bring the heat, but you're not going to fool him. You're not going to present anything he hasn't seen. And boy, if you don't get home, he's got Puka and Devontae Adams, assuming Adams is back by then. And boy, oh boy, those guys would be a really tricky matchup if you're in some kind of man-to-man coverage on either or both of them, because you're bringing the house. Like, good luck. The Rams are going to invite that probably all day long, but it's quite possible that those teams wouldn't have to meet each other until later on, and I think that would probably behoove the Bears, because that's a well put together team.
Brad Biggs is our guest. Biggsy, before I let you go, and we were talking, you came in talking about stories, all the wonderful stories and stories of enthusiasm and accomplishment and energizing things that happened this year with the Bears. And what happened with Bears-Packers, the way it ended, the drama, the comeback, the way it ended, and all that Hollywood script stuff, and the Bears keep doing that. And instead of looking at Bears games, like you go back, wow, let's go back to the Cardinals game and Brian Urlacher's 4,000 tackles and Devin Hester, or going back to whatever Bears game you want. I wanted to get bigger, and you are a football writer who would understand this. Compare and contrast what the Bears did against Green Bay and what the Blackhawks did in 17 seconds against the Boston Bruins. For drama, for story.
Yeah, I mean, I'm not much of a hockey guy.
You are. You're the one who drafted Alex Ovechkin.
Well, but that's the only hockey team I follow. And Hawks aren't giving people a whole lot to follow these days either. Oh boy. What they got done against the Packers is the closest thing I've seen to 2001 when the Bears had walk-off overtime wins in consecutive weeks on interception returns by Mike Brown. And I don't think I'll ever see that again. And that kind of first season I was doing it, that to me stands at the top. That the Packers were involved is huge. What's really fascinating here is the Bears can play the Packers again in a couple weeks here, right?
Of course.
Yep. Time. And just look at the last four Packer games, right? You had a blocked field goal to end a game at Soldier Field last season, then Cairo's field goal to end it up at Lambeau Field in the season finale, then Caleb thrown into the end zone with 22 seconds left back in the beginning of the month up at Lambeau Field. It's intercepted, and then everything the Bears did to close out that game at Soldier Field, and then win it on a 46-yard bomb, an incredible pass from Caleb in overtime. Like, that's 4 games in a row in the longest running rivalry in the league that all went down to the wire. Like, I haven't seen 210 or however many there have been Bears-Packers games. I've seen more than 50 of them. I've never seen 4 stacked together like this.